Never want to get married, never wanted kids. My plan was just enjoy life, focus on my career.
I'm just taking care of these babies and I have no idea who I am.
People think we're at home and we're baking cupcakes and we're watching Netflix and they will say, ooh, time to pick up the kids. You know, I am not going to feel guilty.
My goodness, you guys have a tough time, huh?
That was one of the reasons I came on the show. I think the only one.
Welcome to the She Word. Conversations that women rarely have, but really should. First of all, welcome. And please, before you do anything else, hit that subscribe button somewhere along here if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, go onto the app and hit subscribe there as well. Also, make sure that you follow us or like us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or all four. Please make sure that you follow us because we have some amazing things coming up this year. And one of those amazing things that I've mentioned is we are coming to you May 24th and 25th with the She Word Live at MCC. This is a first of its kind. This is an incredible event that is dedicated to empowering women. 24th is empowering women in the workplace. 25th is empowering women in the world. And we have some of the best international speakers coming to this event to empower you. We also have panel discussions, Q&As, and other events that you're going to want to get involved in. So put those dates in the diary, 24th, 25th of May. Go onto our social media channels, follow the links, head to the tickets and subscribe and get yourself involved with that. It is a massive event and you do not want to miss out. So make sure you do that. Also, of course, if you're joining us on the Patreon page, a massive thank you to you. We have a lot of stuff going on Patreon page. We have offers, we have content coming to you before anybody else, ad-free and so much more. But also, of course, if you're a Patreon page subscriber, that also means that you are doing something amazing. Because everybody who subscribes to the Patreon page is giving to our partners at Richmond Foundation to enable women who need help, who need support, maybe need therapy, but cannot afford it, will be able to access that. So thank you so much to you. That is the introduction, and I am so excited for this episode because this episode is dedicated to a very special group of women. I've got my husband to thank for this show because he has persistently asked me, you've got to talk about this on your show. You've got to have a show dedicated to this topic. Today, we are looking at another aspect of parenting. We've had two shows dedicated to parenting, one to young mothers. We've also had postpartum and pregnancy, and we've also had a show dedicated to working mums. But this show is dedicated to stay-at-home mums. And I have three amazing women joining me on the show. First of all, Kristina Vassallo, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You are so welcome. You're a full-time mummy for the past 6 years or so. You also have a beautiful 6-year-old girl and an 11-month-old baby. First of all, can I just say you look amazing?
Thank you.
You also studied a degree in Malta and went abroad to do your master's in HR. But you chose to be a stay-at-home mum during the middle of a very successful career. And I'm really intrigued by this, and we're going to come to you in just a second. Anthea Maria Ellul, hello.
Hi.
It's so good to have you here as well.
Thank you for having
You've
us.
been a stay-at-home mum since COVID.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this before the show, and I'm going to delve into that because this is a really interesting dynamic. You were a physiotherapist, but after your second child, you found out that you were pregnant again with a little one who has a spinal condition.
Yes.
And so that takes more commitment from you as a mum. And so you've chosen to stay at home and be a homemaker full time.
Yes.
Now, I use the term homemaker. We've used the term stay at home mum. We're going to explore that as well during the show because Gail, you have quite an opinion about what stay-at moms should be called. You're Gail Hully. You're married to a Brit living here in Malta.
Yep.
All the best people are married to Brits. You've got 2 kids who are 8 and 5. You used to work in marketing management and had an MBA with a specialism. You gave up your career soon before having your first child.
That's right.
And you haven't worked since, but you started to think about dipping your foot back in the workforce.
Time to dust off the cobwebs.
Well, let's stay with you because I want you to fill in the gaps a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about your journey.
Well, first, it was never part of my plan. Never want to get married, never wanted kids. My plan was just enjoy life, focus on my career. And then when I hit 40, sort of start to settle down, maybe find a lifelong partner. Kids were never part of the equation. And then I met my husband and everything just, changed.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And so that you've been at home since you were pregnant with your first.
Yes.
And so you've left your career behind, but now you're thinking about coming back into that.
Yes.
I love this. I love this because you're kind of on the cusp. You're in this sort of...
Yes, very...
Yeah.
It's very hard because I know I can never go back to my old job.
Oh, we're going to talk about that as
Yes.
well. This is amazing. I really want to touch on that. And you also mentioned that you may have the odd opinion or two during the show.
On certain things.
Okay,
yes.
that's great. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to that. I'm so glad that you're here. Kristina, fill in the gaps.
Okay, so I think I always wished to be a mom. Somehow it was always something I did wish for. So when I met my now husband, somehow it was natural for both of us that one of us would stop once we have kids, because we always wish to bring up the kids ourselves. So over 6 years ago, we got pregnant with Julia. So I decided to stop. We had a chat. It made sense for me to stop for various reasons. And then we always wanted more kids. But in between, life happens. You don't get pregnant. You have 2 miscarriages.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
And so when Julia started school, because then there was COVID, so she had just started going to nursery for a few hours and it closed. So she ended up staying with me. So then she started going when at Kinder 2. What is Kinder 2? And then when she started there, I was like, now what? Should I reconsider doing something, going back? I didn't really want to go back to my old job. Somehow I felt I wanted to do something more meaningful. And then we had already had a miscarriage. So then 2 years, nothing. Then Ju went to school. Then we had another miscarriage. And then I was like, okay, now what? We were considering adoption.
Oh, wow.
We did the course and all. And then something inside told me, Chris, try a little more to have your own. Not because you're going to rule out adoption or fostering eventually, but something inside was telling me, wait a little, put it on pause. Put it on pause. A week later, we found out we're pregnant with Daniel. And he is going to be 1 next Wednesday.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So, yes.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I love this story. I love this. So I'm coming to you. Anthea, tell me what your story is.
So when I had my first, she's 5 years old now. She's going to be 6 in July. I went back to work when she was 4 months old. So I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, homemaker, call it whatever. I always wanted to go back, but I went on my own terms with reduced hours so I could still, see her grow up. Then a year later, there was COVID. I found out I was pregnant. I had just started my own personal business as a physiotherapist.
And this was right at the beginning of COVID?
Right at the beginning of COVID, March 2020.
Oh my gosh.
It started, all just happened, and it was one blessed week, honestly. So yes, that my job obviously it shut down completely. I was pregnant.
Oh, it's because you can't touch people.
I can't. No, I couldn't.
So you've
see
just
them,
started your own business.
Nothing.
COVID.
Just 2 weeks in. 2 weeks in,
word.
I was done. I found out obviously I was pregnant and nursery shut. So when she was 1.5 at the time, she's back home with me. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't planned. I had this other whole idea in my head. I always wanted more kids because we loved the idea of having a big family. But obviously paced during time, but obviously it was a lovely surprise. And then, Raffaella came, our second child. And soon after, my husband, he's a doctor, he needed to go abroad. So he said, we'd stop having kids for now, we'll go do that here in London, and then we'll come back. Sure enough, 2 months before we left, I found out I was pregnant with my third child.
This was not planned.
That was not planned at all.
What is with you?
Terrified. I was terrified because I knew, first of all, I was going to give birth in London. That was something.
Hey, listen, some of us are born in London. It's a good place to be born, all right? There's nothing wrong with being born in London.
No, not at all. She's a star. But the thing is, I'm packing everything. We're moving to another country, so completely new, different schools, different environment. What am I going to do? I'm going to be alone. There's no one we know in London. Because that's what really concerned me. And when we were there, I wanted to explore if I could start working in London. Because actually living in London and having experience there for me was a dream. I'd send the kids off to school and I'd go and do something in London, just at least get the most out of it. But then we found out that the baby I was carrying had a condition. Obviously, mentally, that set me back. And that is when I had convinced myself, listen, I'm staying home. I'm making the most of it. I'll just take care of my kids. I'll teach them as much as I can. I'll take care of this pregnancy as much as I can. And fast forward to today, we're back in Malta and I'm still a stay-at-home mom.
This is amazing. I tell you what's amazing is because you over there, Gail, you didn't want to have kids. You didn't want to get married. You didn't want any of it. Kristina, you really wanted them and you had 2 miscarriages. So you had a bit of a hard time with your journey. And Anthea over here is dropping them and getting pregnant when she doesn't even know. Exactly. And so already there's a dynamic at the table that you're all coming to this conversation from very different positions, but with one thing in common. Now, I'm just going to run off some statistics before we get into the details because I have a whopping great first question. So the share who are stay-at-home parents differs between men and women. 26% of mothers and 7% of fathers are stay-at-home parents. Over the past 30 years, the share of stay-at-home parents have fluctuated, rising during periods of higher unemployment. Among those who think children are better off with a parent at home, about 53% say it doesn't matter which one stays at home, whilst 45% say it's better if the mother is the parent who isn't employed outside the home. And just 2% say it's better if it's the father. Interesting. Among those who think children are better off with a parent at home, children's studies have said that children who have parents who stay at home achieve better academic performance. This is really interesting. One study found that 10th grade children who had a stay-at-home parent when they were young achieved better grades in school than those who had working parents and stayed away during their childhood. Very interesting statistics. I want to ask this whopping great first question. It doesn't seem particularly relevant, but I want to say, how do you like to be referred as? Because I mentioned as we sat down at the table, are you a stay-at-home mum? Are you a homemaker? Kristina, you said you didn't even mind being called a housewife. So what is okay? Oh, Gail's face! What is okay for you and what's not okay? I'm going to start with Gail because she's got a big opinion on this.
I don't like housewife. To me, housewife implies, one, it doesn't even make reference to having children because you can't be a housewife and not have kids, So what am I there for? I gave up my career to look after my husband, hand and foot. Like, no way. Like as if, stay-at-home mom is, I think, the more obvious term because it actually states what it is, You've sort
But a homemaker? No?
No.
Oh, look at that face.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a bit too...
Is there any other phrase that you like, don't like particularly?
What used to be used, and I think it's offensive to mothers who work, is full-time mom.
Ooh.
That for me is very because a mom is a mom. It's not full-time, part-time. The responsibility, even if you work every day for 15 hours, you're still a mom and you still have the same responsibilities as a mom who doesn't work. So, but it is used, and I think it's offensive to mothers who work. So stay-at-home mom, I think, is the... my preferred term, at least. Let's put it that way.
Judging by the amount of nods on the table, I am not going to use the term full-time mum. Okay, that is not going to happen.
It doesn't insult me or offend me, but I believe it would offend a woman who works, whether be it part-time, full-time, or whatever. Because it implies that they are part-time, and which isn't. If you're a mum, you're a mum.
If you're a mum, I love that. Kristina, you're pretty easy about any of it.
Somehow, I suppose it depends what perception I give to what perception I have of the terms. And I didn't have any negative perceptions or to the terms. Now, hearing you talk about full-time mom, I think it's true. Mm-hmm. All moms are full-time moms, so I don't think that's correct. But housewife, to me, a housewife is someone who is taking care of the home, the husband and the kids. So it doesn't bother me much.
This is really interesting. Oh, you're going to have to hang your... whoa. Oh, okay, go on then.
Even taking care of the husband is...
Of course.
I know he works, but you take care of each other.
Yes, 100%.
Husband just gets breadwinner, provider of the family.
No, I don't have that experience.
No, my husband isn't, he's not.
So
but my husband's very hands-on. But again, it's like, it's a marriage, so a partnership, whatever it is. You look after each other. I did not give up my career
100%.
to look, when we both worked full-time, we looked after each other. I had my
100%.
role and he had his role.
Let me specify. I didn't mean that there isn't an equal, it's not a partnership, whatever it is. But the reality is that he works longer hours, so I can afford to be a bit more flexible to do certain errands, and it's not always easy because with a newborn, you can't really do that. So those go out of the window.
I'm loving, I know, Gail, and I'm going to let Anthea say something because otherwise this is going to be the Gail show.
I know, sorry, I apologise. I told you opinionated.
Not at all. I love it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I love your facial expressions as well. But coming to you, because I wanted, what's so incredibly interesting is that for you, the term is very important, but looking back at how I introduced you, you actually didn't have being a stay-at-home mum on your agenda. So I can imagine why that dialogue, why that term is so important. Whereas you, Kristina, wanted this anyway. You always wanted to have a family and to dedicate yourself to the family. Now, I'm going to ask you, Anthea, what is your opinion on how you're referred to?
I never thought about it.
Me neither.
I never... because it's true now. I am at home and the kids will find me at home and my husband will find me at home when he comes. But I never really thought about calling myself either a housewife, homemaker, stay-at-home mom. I never really thought of myself under a label. I'm just there. I'm just home. That's it. I have to agree with Gail with the term full-time mom because you can't just stop being a mom.
And that's so stunning. I don't think I've ever thought about that either. And that we are all at the table, we're all agreeing that is kind of not an okay term.
And we're not working moms, but still a working mom is a full-time mom.
I love that. I absolutely
No
love that.
questions asked.
Oof. Right. Okay, let me ask you the next question. Let's get into the content that we need to be laying on the table. I'm a bit nervous because Gail's giving me a big glare over there. I want to ask you if the decision for you to stay at home to be a stay-at-home mum was a joint decision, or was it your decision? Or was it more of your partner or husband's decision? How did you come to that decision? Or was it through circumstance? Because you have a decision. Who chose? I'm going to ask you first because you're glaring at me.
It was very mutual. It wasn't even given much thought. It wasn't a long, intense discussion. It was just the obvious. We have no help. So my choice was either 4-month-old goes to daycare till 5 o'clock or till whatever time I chose to work. If maybe I went to reduce, or I give up my career. Now, we both didn't want to I'm incapable of giving. I mean, till today, I don't relax when my kids are with a friend or family member, babysitter, whatever. So that's but just me. But I could never, ever. For me, it was like, I can't leave my child, my 4-month-old baby. So it was have kids, so give up your career, because I was never ready to give. I'd rather just not have kids, you know.
But did you know
I don't judge anyone who's done it, but for me personally, I can't do it because I have my own, separation anxiety and trust issues, and I can't.
But did you know that before you had your first child? Did you know that you were going in there and giving up your career? Because that's a big decision. Giving up your career is massive. So when you were pregnant, or even before you were pregnant, when you were planning, did you know that you would not be able to go back to work, or did you think that you might?
No, I knew it was on the cards the thing is, I was lucky because I was unhappy where I was. Although when I was about to hand in my resignation, when I was about 7 months pregnant, I saw this dream job. I was like, this has my name written all over it. And I thought of actually applying and going for an interview, hiding my belly. But I thought, nah, that's a bit deceiving. So I said, forget it, it's just not meant to be. It's not meant to be. But yes, it was quite easy. I mean, the thing is, there was so much pressure from my employers and my managers to be like, you're coming back, you did. And I had to keep it a secret because I was scared they would let me go or fire me or find my replacement early. I don't think they would have, to be fair, because they were really nice people. But I didn't feel secure in saying, yes, I'm not coming back,
Okay.
I sort of paved the way for them. I recommended someone to take my place. I didn't want to leave them in the lurch. But, 2 months before, whatever notice period I had to, actually before, because I felt like a holiday before having my kid. And so I basically resigned and said I won't be coming back.
So you knew. I mean, what about you guys? Was it a joint decision? Was it a totally joint decision?
Totally joint. I mean, so as I said before, it was always something we wanted, that we'd bring up our kids if we do have. Mm-hmm. Then when I actually got pregnant, we had the discussion. And somehow it was natural that I would stop at the time for various reasons, I think. I loved my job. I loved the company. I loved the people. But somehow something inside, I had been feeling it. I wanted to do something different, something more meaningful. Somehow it had been coming up. So on the other hand, Marco was really happy, doing well. So it felt natural that it would be me who would stop.
But did you ever sit down over a glass of wine and say,
sure,
okay,
sure.
Okay, so this was totally discussed?
Totally.
Agreed?
Totally.
Okay. And
totally.
that, I mean, I'm guessing if you didn't have that discussion, there could be some of that regret.
No. Totally full-on discussion. And I had approached my employers as soon as I knew that would be the case. So that did start looking for someone.
Now, your circumstances were slightly different, but what did that conversation look like?
It was still mutual. It was still obviously, but I knew that I had to do it. Like, we both agreed. Him, first of all, being a doctor, there was a certain training he had to do. So he couldn't just stop it, because then he had to start from the beginning. So there's that. In my case, COVID had already shut down my business. So that was already a no-brainer. And since then, I had stopped working. When our third came along, and we found out and all that, it was still, I have to be the one to stay home because we're actually going abroad for my husband. So it's still, we're not going to stay abroad if he's going to stop and then I'm going to go find a job, elsewhere. So it was joint, yes, but it was a no-brainer. Like, yes, I have to be the one to stay with the kids.
What if you could start your journey over? Start here and start again there. That's how life works, in a circular way. We understand the importance of circles, and that's why you are at the heart of ours. Find your way to wellness with Browns.
There's a lot of statistics. I mentioned some of the statistics about stay-at-home mums. I mentioned the fact that one of the beautiful statistics is that apparently children of stay-at-home mums have a higher chance of good academic performance. But there's also some slightly negative statistics towards being a stay-at-home mum as well. Mothers employed part-time report better overall health and fewer symptoms of depression than stay-at-home mums. Now, when I had the show just a couple of weeks ago, which was Mothers Who Work, one of the things that these mums who work said was that the depression and the loneliness was one of the overriding factors that made them want to go back to work. So I'm asking you, is that a statistic that you would identify with, that it was actually impactful on your health, your physical health and your mental health, that you stayed at home and Gail's nodding over there, but didn't go back to work, to that social circle? For the ladies in the stay-at-home, in the working mums show, that was more important than money.
Yeah.
Is that been something that you've experienced? Have you found that being a stay-at-home mum has been lonely at all, or suffered from depression?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because personally now, I don't know anyone else who is a stay-at-home mum in my inner circle. All my friends who have kids or who don't have kids, they all work. So it does get a bit lonely, yes. Like, all of a sudden you send the kids off to school, your husband off to work, you're home. You're alone in the 5 hours of the day, and it's just you. Sometimes you feel like maybe, let me go have a coffee or something, but my friends are at work. They can't just drop everything just because I feel like having a coffee, So I think if the working mom said that actually, yes, mental health is actually more important than financial stability, I do agree with them. Yes, sometimes it does get a bit lonely.
Wow. You guys?
It does get lonely. But I am blessed to have a few friends who are at home. Not many, but
at least it's
2, 3. It's not like we meet up much because you don't manage, with the kids and chores and running around doing errands and whatever it is. You still don't manage. But maybe a message here or there, or someone who can get you. I do have. From a mental health perspective, I think I fully get what you're saying. It's more about taking care of yourself. So not finding the time to take care of oneself, self-love. And this is something that I'm really trying to change as opposed to with our first. So I'm finally finding the time to go to the gym, to eat well, to, if I need to go to speak to a therapist, to work on myself, I'm doing it. It's hard because you need to find someone to stay with the kids or for Marco to come home early or whatever it is, but it's tough. So I think with my first, in my mind, it was all about staying at home, taking care of Ju. Marco, there was COVID, so it was all about giving and giving and giving. A few months ago, I realized that needs to change for my kids and my husband to have a happy wife and happy mommy.
Yeah.
I totally relate.
And since then, I am a happier person. Because I am actually taking care of myself in different aspects.
I know that.
This is interesting. You're nodding away over there. I'm waiting for you to jump in.
Because I don't want to like take over the floor.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love you.
I think I am the elder one. My kids are a bit older, so...
No, I became a mommy late.
So did I, but we won't reveal age. That's not part of this
We
podcast.
don't do
If I
age
may, we
on
don't do
that
age.
show.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
seriously,
I
I
am
bet you
very
all.
okay
my
with
kids
it.
are older, so obviously sort of I'm slightly ahead of you, just marginally ahead of you. So whether
Might not be.
they're more independent, you know, being 8
ahead
and
of me,
5.
yes, the
That's what I
kids.
mean, ahead of
Yes,
you, as
sorry.
in the kids. So I feel probably the same or similar will happen to you is once they become more independent, you realize, you sort of like self-analyze a bit like, okay. And exactly what you said, I went through 2 years ago, mind you, but I'm only really taking a stand in the past 12 months. I said, no, I need to go back to training. I need to look after myself. You know, now if my husband comes home from work, I'm like, I need to go for my walk. Like, you need to stay with the kids, you know? So something I would never do before or wouldn't really feel comfortable or feel like, you know, we should be a unit and I shouldn't be leaving the family unit to go and do stuff for myself. But I have to because he's the only caregiver option I have. And obviously they're in school. I mean, there's always stuff to do. It's not like, you know, I think there's a bit of a misconception where people think we're at home and we're baking cupcakes and we're watching Netflix and they will say, ooh, time to pick up the kids, you know, I'm going for coffees, you know, like it's not. Because again, you sort of have to justify your time. I mean, my husband doesn't demand any form of domestics, but obviously you're not going to be like, oh, I'm the stay-at-home mom, so sorry, honey, there's 6 loads of laundry for you. You can't. You're there. You have to get stuff done. You know, you can't just neglect the home because you don't have a 40, 50-hour week job and then everything is joint. As you said before, so I agreed and disagreed because you said, because he works long hours but we work 24 hours. That's why I want to interject.
He comes home and continues his work with the kids. So
fair enough. No. I'm not saying that obviously with one not working, it's never going to be 50-50. But I know situations where, because the husband is the breadwinner and he works, and then some men think they have right to put their feet up and not get stuck in and, you know, like...
Poor man, he comes home and he starts his second job.
Exactly.
To give me a bit of a break.
But as you said, we have to take on the load of the domestics and run a house and, you know, it's not easy. And then obviously when kids are sick, it like throws everything, especially when you have appointments that week. It's like they know. Always happens. So it is, and you kind of lose yourself along. This is why the housewife thing comes into it, you know.
But you just touched exactly what was on the tip of my tongue because I'm listening to you and I'm also relating to what the working mums had said, which was that one of the things that was very important to them was their identity and their loss of identity. And I heard this back in season 1. Tamara Webb said it. I mentioned it in the Working Mum show. She said one of the most incredible challenges of when you become a mum is that you are susceptible to losing your identity. People ask how the child is. They don't ask how you are. So even you, Kristina, talking about getting back to the gym, is this a way of reestablishing your identity? Do you feel like as a stay-at-home mum that there is some compromise? You're saying no, but is this for you
identity
guys?
as in because
As
the
who
job
you are.
made me
You've come from a career, you have this, you have that, and now you're
proud to say that I'm a...
For sure, but I miss...
you know, it's a different identity, you know, that I am living at the moment? Do I think that I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom all my life? I don't think so. But not because I necessarily want to go back to my career. It's because I feel I'm not sure what my purpose in life is yet, other than being a mommy and a wife. But so that I want to find, but not because I feel I need an identity.
I love you sound so comfortable with your role, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But did either of you guys?
But listen, I worked on myself a lot lately because I wasn't as peaceful as I am today about it. It's not easy bringing up a newborn 24 hours a day, crying, no matter what you do, how you do, you know, and you're there for the whole day. Yes, my husband comes obviously in the evening, so here you go. But you're still there and you're still living it all the time. So it's not easy, but it's a choice we made. And I know that it will get better. As you said, the older they grow, our 6-year-old is so much more independent. So I know it will pass, but I didn't have it very easy because I don't have help. You know, I'm not, I didn't get married young. I didn't have kids young. So our parents aren't young. My dad passed away a few years ago. So, you know, I have friends who are blessed to have their mother-in-law coming over every day, spending the night with them. Oh, you know.
Wow.
Not at this table, it would just seem.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm just going to ask you, Anthea, before we go back to Gail, because Gail's nodding at this whole identity thing. I mean, this is literally something that is new to me. I never knew about this challenge until I started doing the She Word. It never even occurred to me. But you're probably the youngest at the table, and you're a full-time mum. Nope. I'm going to stop ever saying that. You are a stay-at-home mum.
I nodded. I go, wait a minute.
I'm so scared of Gail now. She's like, don't you dare say that. I love the way she just grabs the glass of wine. Oh, my word. She said full-time mum. But you're a stay-at-home mum, and you're a mum of 3.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment where you said, you know, you had your own business when you decided that, or when COVID meant that you had to stay at home? Do you ever feel like there's an identity dichotomy there for you? Do you ever feel like maybe that's a bit compromised?
Sometimes I do think that, yes, during these past couple of years, you might tend to lose yourself a bit because your life is, when having kids so young. I mean, I have a 3-year-old and the 1-year-old. The 5-year-old, she's already quite independent. She's actually a dream as a baby. But the other two, since they're so young and so close to each other, yes, I did tend to lose myself thinking, I'm just taking care of these babies and I have no idea who I am. It's like I forgot who I am. Just for a moment, sometimes I do think it, because your life revolves around them. It's like when I wake up in the morning, when I go to sleep, did they do this? Did I do this for them? Did I help them? It's always like there's a checklist in your mind, but something which is actually related to you, to your well-being, it's never on that checklist unless you actually really work hard to think about yourself.
Which is what Kristina had to do.
And I'm so proud that she actually started, because I haven't started yet, honestly. And you're inspiring me to do so.
No, it's really helped.
Because now my youngest, she's 1 year and 3 months, and I still haven't started to think about myself yet. Now maybe tell me, okay, because of her spinal condition and it's a bit harder, you know, weekly appointments, stuff like that. But still, that's the thing. If you see my calendar, there's rarely a hair appointment or, you know, something just for me, a gym appointment, like I have a schedule or something. It's more, she has physio, she has this, she has that, and that's it.
And Gail, you're further
that's
along.
where it gets lost, the identity.
You're further along on the journey, and you're nodding there. And this is obviously something that's been crucial to you. So, did you lose your identity for a minute?
Completely. Not only did I lose it, I was sick of who I was. I was either Gail the mom or Gail the wife. And it's like, okay, I love my husband, we're a family, but I just want to be Gail. My interests, ask me about my hobbies, ask me about things I don't, ask me what time my kid goes to bed, and don't ask me where my husband works. And, it's like, I am me, And when I hit a milestone birthday, which we won't mention, it hit me. I won't even say how long ago it was. It hit me. It's like I got an epiphany. It's like, I can't, this is not my life. I can't continue and the monotony. It's true with kids, it's never a dull moment, but it's still monotonous. You go to bed, you wake up, prepare their school bags, they go to school, you do your chores, maybe run a few errands, pick them up from school, start the homework, feed them, this, and then you again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And this goes on for 9 months of, the scholastic year. So it is monotonous. And I was feeling like the walls are, like a lot of people, work. No, nowadays you can work from home. Absolutely not. It's the last thing I want to do, work from home. I need to go out. I need to feel like I have a sense of purpose, which is, not just about my kids, because we're not machines. Although we are mothers, and my kids will always come first. Always. They will always come. But that doesn't mean that I can't do stuff for myself. Because as you pointed out, if you're unhappy, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you're feeling something is missing, you can't be the best mom. You can't be the best wife and you can start to fall into depression, and you start to question. And especially in my case, which I didn't want this life, I was like, did I...
But you just pointed out that Kristina was very honest and said that this is, you obviously got to a point where you weren't being the best mum and the best wife, and you actually pulled yourself up and said, I have to do something about this.
So probably I was being, because I was doing the stuff I needed to do, but I wasn't my happy self, I wasn't...
But even that, whilst you're performing the functions, we all know, and it doesn't just apply to being a mum or even to being a woman. And when you're doing the performing the list of requirements, but not feeling that you want to be there, you might be checking off the checklist, but you're not giving it your best. And
for sure,
you lose it quicker. You're less understanding.
And I think in our situation, it was nice to see like we have a lot of common ground. None of us at this table have help. We don't have parents, in-laws, so you literally on your own. You can't just say, oh, mom, take the kids for the day because I'm going off with my husband we don't have that. So outings are very scarce, in my case at least, they're very scarce, nights out or days out, so it's difficult.
That changed. That is another reason that self-love is another reason why we were blessed to find an amazing babysitter.
You need to get the details.
No, because with Julia, with our 6-year-old, she never stayed with anyone because she was unsettled. She wasn't an easy baby. She didn't stay with anyone till, I don't know how old she was.
My kids never slept out, ever.
But when we had Daniel, I remember I was thinking about it. I hadn't mentioned it to Marco yet. And one fine day, Marco came and told me, listen, we need to find someone. I was like, I was just thinking about it. In fact, the first, and I was lucky, a good friend of mine recommended someone who had been going to her and her family. So it was someone who I could trust because I'm not going to leave my kids with anyone. And the first time she started coming once a week in summer, and then it stopped. And anyway, is for me to go do some errands and to go to the gym. So, I just needed, and just getting into the car alone and even just picking up a coffee from a coffee shop because maybe I didn't have time to actually sit down in the coffee shop because I had a million things to do was like,
the joy on your face.
But even that is
Without
wrong.
the nagging, without actually...
But even that is really wrong.
I want
yes.
That's your time alone, and your me time is running errands when it shouldn't be. It should be
true.
more,
But that helped me realize, that helped me go back to Marco and say, this needs to happen more often because I need to
Get out.
Get out and do things that I need to do and work on myself. And then I started working on myself, like physically.
So is that the hardest part? I mean, we're talking a lot about the negatives at the moment. We're going to flip in a second to the joys and love and shining rainbows. But right now we're just disseminating the hard parts of being a stay-at-home mum. Would you say that that's the hardest part? What is if you could put your finger on, that is the hardest thing about being a stay-at-home mum?
I find the lack of adult company, interaction, exactly.
Yeah.
Because even though, for example, my husband works from home twice a week, but you're conversing, be it tapping at a keyboard or talking to adults. I am either alone, which I don't mind because I love my own company. I do. Or talking to children. And there's no adult. As you said, my friends all work, so during the day, it has to be like after 5 or after 5:30. Some friends I see twice a year, or else it's nights out, which again are scarce because maybe she can't find the babes and I can, or her husband can't, and it's very difficult. So that I find the most, the human connection, the adult interacting with adults, that is the thing I missed the most, I think. It's not the actual looking after the children or running the house or whatever. It's that communication,
That's really interesting. Yeah. For you, the hardest thing? Same thing?
Same. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love speaking to my kids. I love hanging out with my kids and hearing about their day at school. And that brings me so much joy when they come home and they're full of stories. Like, my friend did this and I did that. It's lovely. But it's like, I'm speaking to a 5-year-old. I need to speak to someone my age, something that's going on in the world, anything, current affairs, something. Something that's, on my level, you need that, just an hour just to speak to an adult. I get you, 100%.
You really made me think. It is that, because sometimes poor man, when he comes home, I don't stop talking.
To get it out.
Just like to share and to speak to someone. The toughest part, I think, is that plus having the kid or kids, you being the full responsibility of that kid all the time. So whether you need to go to the bathroom, whether you want to try to have breakfast, whether you don't have gaps to do it. You need to do it with them or pause it. Or if you really need to run to the loo and he's crying, take him with you, put him on your lap. Or if I really want to have breakfast because I'm really trying to, eat well and I need to peel a hard-boiled egg, you need 2 hands to do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm either going to wear the sling or else I'll put him down. If he's complaining, I'll try to do it very, very quick. At least I then bring him up and then I can squash it with him on me. It's, I think, these little spaces which when you don't have young kids, you take them for granted.
Yes.
But I find that those little, and again, the wider picture, I love it and I don't regret being there, but these little spaces, I think I find are the toughest.
This is remarkable because I also spend time away from Malta because my husband lives abroad. When I go, I literally spend a whole day with the dog. When I'm visiting him, there's me doing my work, but I'm at home in the office, and there's the only company I have is the dog. So I can relate to that because, quite frankly, the dog isn't particularly good at replying. And also the dog follows me to the toilet. Yeah. So I'm understanding what you're saying, but on a tiny, minuscule scale, and my jaw is dropped because you're saying you're basically identifying really simple, fundamental, basic tasks, which are so much harder because you have 100% of your life dedicated to being with your family.
And it's stifling, I find. I don't know if mine are older, so very chatty, want to share. And then if mine are quite close, 2.5-year age gap, so they compete for my attention. So, Mummy, and then the other interrupts, Mummy, and Mummy, and then one wants to start. No, it's just full on, it's lovely, and they're fighting. Mummy, I want to cuddle you, and Mummy. I probably sound terrible complaining because I want to be cuddled, but you literally. You don't have, sometimes you just need that bubble. Like in the morning, I wake up, the minute they hear me up, making my coffee, like at the weekend, I like to just sit down and just, scroll in the vortex, and then say, Mommy, one is on me, and then the other one is on me. And she's like, can I just please have my coffee?
Can I pick up on this? Because you've just identified, I told you that there was a question I was going to throw into this show that has occurred in every single parent show. There is a word that I'm thinking to myself that you guys probably would be the most likely to say, no, I don't feel that. I don't identify with that because you're devoting your whole entire life to bringing up your kids. So I'm assuming you're guilt-free.
Not at all.
You never feel guilt? You
Not
ladies.
Not at all. But I went the other voice started speaking now.
Because this one word comes up all the time. All the time on the women who are working mums, without a shadow of a doubt. But this was right back from the very first show that we did, and in actual fact was with a friend of mine, Melissa, who is a mum at home. She's given up her life, and the very first time that she was on the show that we talked about parenting, I said, "What was the most surprising thing about being a parent?" She said, "Guilt." And I said, but you've given up your career for you. How could you possibly feel guilty? Is guilt something that you deal with?
I'll give you an example. This week they had their half-term holidays. I still went training. My husband took 2 days off to stay with the kids, so we can have some family time. And I still went training. And part of me said, sort of, Dan is off. The kids are off. And I'm, buggered off for an hour to train. And I said, but flipping heck, one, he can have some quality time alone with the children, but you still feel it. And mine became so bad a couple of years, in 2022. I would feel guilty going for a walk. I never want to leave Dan alone with the kids, like that. It was pointed out to me by a friend, and she said, really not healthy. Like you have nothing to feel, So then I worked to do the opposite. I had never spent a day or even a night away from the house, away from the kids. And they were relying too much on me, I felt, and not enough on, like my husband was very willing, very present, very there, but was like, no, mommy, 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 mommy. So I felt I had to literally pull myself away from that situation so that they learn how to be dependent and go to their dad, because it was always me from day one. It became too much. Now it's much, much better. They need reminding a little bit. Like if I'm having a shower, Mommy, I'm hungry. I'm like, Daddy's in the kitchen. Like he's right there, you can ask him. So they need to learn as well, how not to always come to Mommy.
You knew I was going to say guilt, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Something that you've experienced or do experience?
I do experience it. I experienced it when I went back to work. I experienced it now that I'm with them. It's a double-edged sword. It's like if I'm too much with the kids or if I'm not with the kids, it's like I'm giving them too much. I'm not letting them be independent, or else I just went off. I'm running an errand. There's my husband with them. I'm fine. No, I still feel it. I should be there. Maybe I could have brought my daughter with me. I didn't need to leave all 3 of them at home. there's always this nagging feeling like you're doing something missing. Always.
Whoa.
You're always
I'm
like,
sorry, I can't assist.
No.
I can't.
You're saying no guilt.
Oh, okay.
No guilt. I mean, there are times when usually I'm quite calm and I don't lose it quickly. But when I do, I feel guilty because I know I shouldn't have. So there are elements of I would like to be a great mom. You know, you read up about it, or great parents. You read up about what you should do, shouldn't do, la, la, la. But sometimes your emotions take over and you do otherwise. So a little bit guilty, yes. But then you try to learn how to say sorry, you know, even mommy can't say sorry. So that kind of guilt, because maybe I feel I can always continue improving as a mother, okay. But when I go to the gym, I don't feel guilty. No, I mean...
it's fantastic. I mean, I should really, work on that.
You know, when we first started getting the babysitter once in a while, the first time I did it, the second time I did it, possibly. But I know that they love her, they enjoy it, they're happy. So I'm happy, you know? Okay. The first few times when Danny used to cry a lot because he was still younger, my goodness. Or when I do leave them with my husband, I don't feel guilty because I know he enjoys being with them. Okay, a newborn, not really miskin, but he enjoys the quality time. Last Friday, we had a date night. But both kids were just getting
This is why Kristina is smiling, obviously. Because you do have a distinctive grin on your face. I love that.
It's beautiful, spending a bit of time with him alone without the kids. Mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy.
You can't have a conversation during the day,
times,
forget
you know?
it.
So they were just getting over a cold. And I was like, should we cancel, should we not? Daniel was still coughing. And I said, Chris, don't cancel. Because my natural instinct would be cancel, stay home. Then I had to fight with this internal thing saying, no, Chris, don't cancel. No, don't cancel. If something happens, she's going to call and you're going to be back. It's not like it's going to take 10 hours to get back home. You know, you'll be back within 20 minutes. So we were walking out. So I put him to sleep, changed. We're walking out. He started crying. Obviously, mommy's my instinct is telling me, Chris, go. The babysitter told me, Chris, leave. Marco looks at me. We go. I close the door behind me with a crying baby. I go down the stairs, go into the car. Marco tries to start a discussion. He told me, you're okay. I'm like, nah, I'm still there. You know, my body was in the car, but everything else was still at home. He's like, why don't you message her? I'm like, I'm sure she'd get in touch if he didn't stop. We parked, we got to the restaurant. Marco's like, you're okay? I'm like, starting to land. Then I get a message. Daniel's fine. I walked in, gave him his dummy. I didn't want to message you straight away because I wanted to make sure that it's fine. So then I was like, okay, I can enjoy it. But I did feel guilty walking out in that situation.
So this guilt is there.
And it feels like a mountain to go to the restaurant and try and settle down and enjoy the
you know,
evening.
when you do it, so I've learned to try to overcome it because it's not worth it. You know?
Can I tell you something that really has struck me through every show on parenting, on mums and of every different kind, that as a non-mum, I am only beginning to understand. But my goodness, you guys have a tough time, huh? I mean, I just think, yeah, I'm a Generation X, and I'm fairly sure that my mum, maybe she felt guilty, but she was very much more about children not being seen and not heard, and kick your kids out on the street and they come back at dinner time and that sort of thing. And that's how I was brought up. But I'm fairly sure that even she went through what you're going through, because you're describing the most straightforward and what you would expect to be fundamentally simple task to walk out of the house and go for dinner. And yet just all of the emotional strain that goes with it. Now, there is a thing that has been identified, and I've been looking into this before this show, and it applies particularly to stay-at-home mums, and that is mum burnout, which is sometimes called depleted mother syndrome. And I can't imagine that you three women have managed to get through the last 5 years without at least feeling some of this. There's mental, emotional, physical exhaustion, depersonalization, lack of fulfillment caused by intense childcare demands. Is that a way of describing it?
Yes, it is. I wouldn't say I've burnt out, but I've got very, very close to being burnt out. And a point besides the mom guilt I feel is dominant is the mental load. It's not just feeding am I feeding them the right things? Do they have a well-balanced diet? Are they happy at school? Are they forming good friendships? Are they happy in their school? Whatever. Are they spending enough time with the other parent? It's constant. At least with me, it's a constant. It's not just the physical thing of feeding them, keeping them alive and washing them, and I think when yours get a little bit older, because I'm starting to experience it with my eldest and now I'm seeing it a little, you start to worry about, do they know how to form friendships? Do they know, like these little, even on an emotional level, it's heavy, it's intense. And you can burn out, especially when you don't have help. I realize nowadays, because I'm so busy and I don't take enough time for myself and whatever, like when I get sick, before in 3 days, it could be my age, but I'm saying it's burnout. Before I'd bounce back. But why? If I'm in the office, I'd say, listen, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to work from home. I'd just sit on my couch, prop my laptop on my lap, cups of tea. As soon as I'm feeling better, I go back to the office. Now it's like, no, I've got to do the school run, whether it's raining or whatever it is. I need to go buy my meds and, my husband can't take leave from one day to the next, I'm sorry, my wife's sick, he can't take over. He's not in a position where he can take over.
Hang on a second, sorry. Again, this just occurred to me. You guys, we've identified the fact that all three of you at the table don't have on-hand help. I know that you have your babysitter who sounds amazing, and credit to her. How lovely. But what
She's not there every day.
No, of course. But what happens when you do get? You just said you get sick. You just have to get on with it.
A few weeks ago, I was really sick. I had a really bad virus, stomach virus. But I laid a bit on the couch. But then time's up. I have to go pick up my kids. Driving, sick. My tummy's turning. Literally, I have to pick them up. Who's gonna pick them up?
Yeah.
You have to do it. That's the thing.
It's hardcore. It's very, very
So
hard.
does this burnout? Is this something that you've reached?
No, I don't think so. I don't think yet. No. But there are certain days that I'm pushing the envelope, but then you try to, bring yourself back together and you're doing this, just take it slow. But yes, when you're sick sometimes and you have no help, you just have to bounce back. Listen, get up.
And sometimes the pressure's on because you're sort of your own boss and you're self-employed. We never, a best friend pointed it out to me, my best friend. She said, there's nothing wrong in having a sofa day. Plan it, plan around it, but do it. She said, be it Christmas holidays, half term, and it's true. And I did it over Christmas and it was lovely. I felt recharged and it was so nice. We just watched a couple of, movies with the kids, but it was so nice. And I said, I am not going to feel guilty.
Is this the self-care that you were talking about, having a sofa day?
No, the self-care is doing things I know will help me feel better. So, for example, the gym and eating well. And eating well involves time and effort and preparation, which you don't have with a baby. So,
but still sitting on the sofa and
that's what she needed, So self-care is different for different people.
No, I get what she does and I do it. And I've been doing it for a year and it was a life changer.
But I also started going to someone to actually verbalize and try to understand where this heaviness was coming from. And
I built a lot of resentment, for example, over the years,
listen, you just touched on something that just made me think, because when I mentioned to you guys before about, a major part of a decision-making process for working mums is that they didn't want to be isolated. That loneliness, that fundamental loneliness, you talked about just having somebody who could listen, who could validate how, I'm assuming, could validate how you feel and identify with that. I mean, this must be a crucial part of being a mum, because you don't necessarily have mums who are in the same position who you can relate to and say, you know what, I'm having a Gordon Bennett, I just want to sit on the sofa and just get rid of the kids and tell them to leave me alone, and I want to go to the toilet by myself. Yeah. Because whilst you might have mums that associate with that, you don't have necessarily mums that are in the same position as you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me be a bit clearer. I am blessed to have a few mums who are like that. Literally, I can think of 2, because there was another one, but she started working. So I can have that discussion.
You can, but Anthea can't.
Agreed. But I still felt I needed to work on myself. I felt I wasn't the happy me. So I was like, what is going on? So I physically had to start going to someone, a therapist / priest, friend, whatever. I used to go, but then I had stopped because you have kids. I said, no, I need to start going again. Obviously, Marco had realized that I'm not the happy self I used to be. So I started going, and I started working on myself and pinpointing things that I need to improve, change, things I'm not happy with. Mm-hmm. Me, myself, emotion, mentally.
I went through a similar, I was always for personal development. Even in my career, I never had an end goal. I said I had me goals, I want to be the best version of myself. And I felt having the kids when they were especially younger, I lost that I want to be the best version of myself. Because being the best version of myself is not just being a mom. It's my main focus and it's a priority, but it's not just, I'm not just a mom. Eventually I worry about the future, because I don't want my kids to be 18, leave home or whatever, and then what? What am I? Who am I?
That comes back to that identity.
Yes.
That comes back to the identity which I touched on before. Yeah. And that's incredibly important. You're nodding away there.
Yes, because she's right. Because when you do just think of the kids, you lose yourself. At least I've seen it with, I know someone else who's going through this as well. And it's very easy to lose yourself. It's difficult to push through it, but it's easy to lose yourself. That's what I've noticed. And I'm hearing Kristina speak, and professional help, I would love to seek it, honestly. And I'm sure anyone who's listening would love to seek it as well. Because if you can't take care of yourself, us as stay-at-home moms, how are we going to take care of our kids, of our families? It's, I think it goes hand in hand.
I think it's beyond stay-at-home moms. It's for everyone. I mean, everyone out there, we all need to work on something. We all need to improve on something. We all feel not okay with something inside, so it's not about stay-at-home moms, it's everyone.
No, and agreed, because I remember in the very first season of this show, Yasmin DiGiorgio said everybody should go and speak 100%. To somebody, everyone. And they shouldn't wait until they're in a crisis point. They should go proactively. Everybody needs to be speaking to somebody all the time.
We all grew up, we're all kids. We all had little traumas. As great as our parents may have been, we all have something to work on. So it's not because I'm a stay-at-home mom, I need to work on myself. It's because I'm a human being.
It's because you're Kristina. It's because I'm Anthea. That's it.
So I just wanted to specify that it's not just because I'm a stay-at-home mom.
No.
Everyone has something they need to work on.
I love that.
My top prescription for aging signs, vitamin C and retinol.
New Lift Active Duo.
In the morning,
Pure vitamin C to boost skin radiance. And at night, Pure retinol to boost regeneration. Wrinkles are reduced for 100% of women. 2 actives, 1 prescription. New Lift Active Duo. Vichy, recommended by 50,000 dermatologists.
Listen, we've talked a lot about the drawbacks. We've talked about a lot about the pain and the isolation and the identity. And we talked about not being able to go to the toilet by yourself. I mean, I'm going to just say this. The next time my dog follows me to the bathroom, I am going to be much more gracious about that listening to you ladies. I'm going to be like, Trudy, that really doesn't matter on a scale of 1 to 10. That's a minor thing. What do you believe that the benefits are for your children and for your family? Because you've made sacrifices and you've obviously experienced some real challenges, but there has to be some amazing benefits. We know, I started off by saying that kids who have had stay-at-home mums or fathers are more likely to perform better academically in school than others. Whatever that reason is for, I mean, I can't say, I'm just reading the stats. But from your point of view, what would you say is the biggest benefit to your children and to your family? And we'll come to you as an individual in a second. Anyone, go.
I think my mom always stayed home as well. So the fact that I used to come home from school with the fan and she'd open the door and I'd find her there and she just welcomes me. She asks me how's my day, and that was such a warm feeling. And even though it wasn't the plan that I actually become a stay-at-home mom for the time being, I'd like to know that I actually offer that to my kids. When they come home, I'm always there, open arms, come in, food is ready, tell me, let's go have a bath, let's speak about it. So I think that it's kind of resonates with how I was when I was younger, and I wanted to continue it. So at least even if I do go back to work, at least I want to know that I'll make it home in time till they come home, and I'll continue this kind of warm little, welcome back home.
I love that you've pinpointed this one thing that was really important to you, that you came home and that your mum was there to welcome you in the door.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I loved it. I've heard, even though, now it's been 20 years since I was at school, but I've heard kids, obviously, that their parents were working and they've either been to their grandmother or some other relative, but it's not their mom or it's not their dad who welcomed them home. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to at least try and, give the same thing that I actually always had when I was a little kid to my little kids.
That's amazing.
I like that a lot.
For you guys?
Same. I always went home and found mom. And somehow I always wished that I could do the same. And I don't know, somehow it's beautiful just being available for whatever it is. So I don't know, I have Daniel's face in front of me. So I don't know, just that smile, that satisfaction that, all right, it can't be with anyone. That's the truth. But somehow I feel that what Marco or I can give them, no one else can. There are they give the emotion, they give a lot of things, but somehow I feel, at least it's what we wanted for our kids. Fully respect everyone else, because it's maybe not something that everyone else wants or can or whatever. But for us, it was important.
So the benefit for your child, the real positive for your children is that they have access to you, that you are there with them. Mm-hmm. For you,
the secure base.
The secure base, it's the same, huh?
For sure.
It's the same. And this is the same for you, the benefit Definitely. For your kids?
And people say, now when they go to senior school, you can even work full time, maybe reduce. I'm like, no, even more I want to be there at senior school. Because for me, your teens are really tough. At least for me, I found, everyone says, this is of your life. No, it's such a transformative time, you're going through so many changes, your body, your mind, you're not an adult, but you're not a child. That for me, that time is crucial. Yes, I would have liked to establish a career by the time they're in senior school, a job that fulfills me, because that's very important. But I still want to be, yes, they can be old enough to have a key, but I still want to be there. Because I will know, the minute you see, even when I pick up my kids, I'll know straight away, she's had a bad day, she's in a bad mood, or my son's not feeling too well. You just pick it up, it's instinct, it's the motherly instinct. And more so when they're older, when they're teens, So I want to. I really am. When they're adults, it's different. Like I have my own, I'm not going to be this. So, you're going to work and you're going to live in my house. But that's another discussion.
That's show.
Exactly.
That's a hot topic. We'll.
But, up until, yes, they're old enough to, get through their exams or whatever, I'd like to be around.
So to paraphrase that I guess the benefit for your children as a stay-at-home mum is security and having availability to you.
Mm-hmm.
What is the benefit for you as a mum? What is
for me? I let's be honest, it's tough to juggle both. I can't imagine having my current mental load with then having to think about work and having my boss message me or whoever, team, colleague. I can't. I personally would. For me, it's just added stress that at the end of the day, I will end up, sort of, my kids and my husband will definitely be affected. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed as I am. I have an elderly mother as well who I have to sort of look after and coordinate and admin. And as well, I find it sometimes like I can't breathe. I have so much on my plate. I can't imagine working. And I think the worst of all is working part-time. Because when they're in school, you're in work. And then when you pick them up, you've got to, handle all that. You've got the kids, and then when do you run your errands? When do you really do the housework? If you're with young kids and doing their homework and feeding them and, it's really tough. I have full admiration for women who work. I don't, and everyone's situation, I was saying this earlier, it's an individual choice. And you can't really put us all stay-at-home mums in one, categorize us as two different categories, stay at home, because everybody's situation is different. It's a very personal decision.
So for you guys, what do you think? What's your takeaway when your time as a stay-at-home mum is over? What will be your takeaway? What do you think was the benefit of this journey?
I think the major thing as to why we decided that one of us will stay at home until they're young, until they're a certain age, whatever it is handing over our values, our beliefs, not those of others. I think that is the major thing for us.
So shaping them and their future.
Nice.
And not leaving it to other influences. Yeah. That's nice. That's really interesting. For you?
I have to agree. Yes, it's true. Because, again, full respect to anyone who needs help, who has help. But honestly, they're my kids. So if I made them, I want to pass on what I know and what I believe in to them. And it's okay if they have certain influences from grandparents, from aunts, uncles, close relatives, or perhaps, from daycare. They might learn something from daycare, but I'd like to know that at least I actually managed to raise this child. I taught this child. He was brought up and with knowing my beliefs and actually, living through our values, through our family values. That really hit the nail on the head.
And in our imperfections, because obviously we're not
exactly,
perfect. But
yes.
At least the words that they hear every day, all the time, is ours, is something that I can work on,
and you're doing it your way. Because I always feel if I'm leaving my kids with a friend, with a relative, I don't think it's fair to say, they can't eat this, don't let them do this, because I think it's very unfair to dictate to somebody who's giving you free childcare, who's helping you, and then tell them, no, they can't eat this and don't buy that brand, and they're not allowed to watch so much telly, and you need to wash them at this time, you can't. So I feel it's very unfair, you can't, and really they probably wouldn't anyway. So at least that if you're doing it the way you want it to be, it's your way.
I am so excited by this show. I honestly, this series, this she word never fails to surprise me. And I've really learned so much over the last hour or so. I'm going to come back to you with one last question. I know we still have wine left, and we haven't got to the bottom of that.
And the snacks.
And snacks. No one's eaten the snacks yet. But what is your stay-at-home mum hack? I think I'm going to let Kristina lead with this, because you've stated right in the middle of the show what your hack was, I think, and if I'm understanding it properly. But what makes your job, your jobs, your life, your purpose as a stay-at-home mum easier or more fulfilling?
Easier, I think, having the husband I have, because he is extremely understanding, extremely supportive. Not when it comes to hours necessarily, so he's not there with me all the time, every day, but, supportive, with genuinely caring about how I'm feeling. How was your day? How was it? So this support mechanism I have from him I think that is one of the major things that keeps me going.
I cited something you said in the middle of the show, and it's going to stick with me, and it's about this self-care, whatever form that is, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's being on the sofa, whether it's finding someone that you can talk to professionally or otherwise. That self-care is stuck in my mind.
So for me, the self-care, I needed to figure out what it was and how it was. But once I started going to this person, I started understanding a bit more about who I am, my emotions, because even those kind of things, you start throwing behind you, and they're not as important as what my kids want or what my husband wants. So starting to learn how to understand what I'm feeling again, and what I want and what's important to me. So that, and I don't know, for example, the gym and eating healthy, as simple as that, going and enjoying it, because I am enjoying it. But I wasn't doing anything I'd enjoy other than the kids, anything else wasn't there. So surely self-love. And
lots of nodding there. Life hacks?
Self-care, I'm taking that from you now. You seriously motivated me. Thank you.
That was one of the reasons I came on the show. I think the only one. If I could just say one word, that would help someone.
Self-care. No, really, well done. For me, I think over the years, I've learned to take it easy. I've tried to, because with 3 kids and they're so smushed together in age, I used to get very, very flustered with just 2. And that year we spent abroad with 3 on my own. My husband's at work and I literally have no one around me. Listen, I'm not going to get there in 10 minutes. We're just bustling around. The kids aren't behaving. Just take it easy. If you don't get there in 10 minutes, you get there in an hour. You'll get there. Everyone's safe, everyone's sound. But at least I've learned to take it easy. Because if you rush, something's going to happen. An accident's going to happen.
Guilt-free, take it easy, or are you still tackling that?
No. When it comes to taking it easy, no, that's guilt-free. That is guilt-free, yes.
I like that.
And I have something else.
That, yes.
I'm going to let Gail say her bit.
But because I used to rush a lot, when I got here, I told you, the first thing I told you, I hate being late. That's true. But I plan before. If I know I'm not going to get out of the house in 15 minutes, plan before. Just try, literally, even the kids, get them. Listen, guys, in an hour, we're going out. So let's start packing up, clean up your toys. They don't always behave. So there's that. But at least I know. I've warned them. They know about it. This isn't like you go to the playground. Guys, time to go. Let's go. Because tantrum, obviously. So I start to prepare them and take it easy. And that really has helped me. At least we leave the house a bit 10% easier and more peacefully than if I don't.
I love that.
So that is a tiny hack.
Before we come back to Kristina, because she's just thought of something, Gail, your stay-at-home mum hack.
Get through the day. Basically, I'm a massive overthinker, and so I feel very overwhelmed because I'm thinking what's happening next week, in a month's time, and when they're 7 and when they go to senior school. Honestly. And
I'm with you on that.
I am. I mean, my dad had a 5-year diary, so I know where it comes from. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm a bit like that. I need to plan everything. And that's my best friend I'm so grateful for her in my life. She just says to me, get through today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Just get through today. Do what you have to. If you have to pick up the kids, if you have to do the laundry, if you need to study for an hour, if you need to cook, if you need to do, just get through the day. And it's true. Because then you say, oh, it's over. I've done it. You know, and then tomorrow you start again. Just get through the day. You know, and when I feel overwhelmed, even if it's just kid stuff and house, I just jot everything down. You know, like then I don't need to think about it. I just offload and communicate. Because I used to have, like, even with my husband, I say, I need help. No, I need to specify, listen, I need a load done. I need you to just ask for help as well. Even if it's not really at hand, but somebody will be able somehow to help you. Because we tend to take everything on as mothers and we forget, you know. So I would say, ask for help. And if you do have help at hand, take it. Yes. Totally.
I agree with everything, but I did remember something else. Not expecting too much out of oneself. Like, if the house is a mess, it's a mess. Mm-hmm. Because you want everything done as it should be. You want to have everywhere nice and clear. You want to have food on the table. You want to have everything as your mind thinks it should be. Then you find yourself in a place where it's not. And it used to kill me.
Mm-hmm. It kills me till today.
So I am learning how to say, look, Chris, Daniel's been whining all day. I just couldn't. All I could do is sit down with him, distract him for a second, and then he's going to whine for the next second and go through the whole day like that. Plus doing Julia's helping with homework or coping with everything else. So expecting less of oneself, not setting the bar too high.
And this is all related. All three of you have said almost exactly the same thing in a different way, because you were saying, Anthea, you were talking about taking it easy. Yeah. And isn't that the same?
Yes,
the same
kind
thing?
of, and get through the day.
And get through the day.
And don't
exactly.
set the bar
Tomorrow
so
will
high,
come,
as you were
but
saying.
And a supportive,
the housework.
A supportive mechanism, I think, is important. My husband is, even if he's not physically there all the time, but at least I know he is supportive. I can speak to him, I can talk to him, I can find him.
Ladies, you are absolute superstars. I'm going to chin. We've got some really nice wine, this lovely Garvey. I'm just going to chin with you because I have to say I have so much admiration for you, and I really want to thank you for coming and being so blooming honest and just sharing your thoughts, because I have no doubt you were talking about if you had one thing that you were saying that would empower other women. You've already done that right here. And I think this show is going to empower a lot of women who are in the same position, and maybe not even in the same position as you, but a lot of the life lessons that you've been sharing are life lessons for everyone. So I want to say thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you.
I do have something I'm going to give you, because our lovely friends at Brown's thought that you guys deserved a little bit of support as well. So thank you to Brown's. These are for our stay-at-home mums.
Thank you so much.
It's just some little gifts to come to take home with you and make you feel.
Thank
Have a look. You're very welcome to have a look. But thank you so much. And honestly, I'm really thrilled that you came on the show and we had this conversation.
I hope we didn't make it sound too negative.
Yes,
because it is extremely rewarding, and not even in the heights of my career did I have such fulfillment. Because we spoke a lot about the negative, but it's like
say that again, because I want to close the show with that. You just said, not even in the heights of your career did you have as much fulfillment as you have as a stay-at-home mum.
Yes, for sure.
I second that.
Me too.
Because kids won't necessarily say, oh, thank you, mommy, for being around. But you get back what you give, when you love a child. And I mean, yes, we're busy but they know you're there.